Hey everyone, it's me, Madam Pamita. I am here, round two. We're trying again. We did try and get Stephanie on, and something was going on. We just had, let's see if I can get her to, there we go. Let's see if I can get her in this and add her. Let's see if she can add. We just had a problem with our internet last night. So I'm wondering if maybe that was what was the problem. It might not be you, Stephanie. It might be my, it worked.
Yay!
Two times the charm, I guess.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just
Oh,
fine. This is
good.
great. Yeah. If
So
everyone else can
sorry
hear you.
about that.
No worries, no worries. So anyway, I'll give a little shorter preamble to all of our stuff that's coming in now that you're here. So today we're meeting with Stephanie Buscema and talking about her many familiars. Stephanie is a New York-based painter, illustrator, designer, working traditionally with paints and pencils on paper. I mean, she does old school, not digital. I don't know if you do any digital stuff, but I always
No.
see, yeah, old school gouache for
Yeah,
days, right?
exactly.
And she's inspired by design of the past, folklore, mythology, old picture books, the natural and supernatural world. And her work can be seen everywhere from commercial illustration to fashion to fashion. That's how I discovered you. And even the Silver Acorn Tarot that we collaborated on. And you have a new Lenormand thing we're going to talk about later, which is
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. I'm so excited for your book.
Thank you
You
so much. Oh my
look
gosh. Oh
beautiful.
my gosh. I'm so thrilled with this book. It was such, so what we're talking about, we were talking a little bit about it in the version of this that we started and we couldn't get Stephanie on. But I have a new book coming out called The Witch's Guide to Animal Familiars. It's got over 100 spells and much information about how to make magic with your animals, your pets, farm animals, wild animals, any animals that you can interact with in any way. And Stephanie, and even the animals that have passed on, I talk about that as well. And we're going to talk about all three of those today with you because we're going to talk a little bit about Vincent, and we can also talk about your cat
Yeah,
Figs and also the rabbits that run around your house. So,
yeah.
oh my gosh, so much to talk about.
I
So, thank you
know.
so much.
Oh my gosh, of course. I'm just so happy to
I
see
know.
you. I love seeing you and just chatting,
I
you
know.
know?
I know. It's just a good excuse for me to have just chit chats with my friends and talk about something that's so fun to talk about,
Yeah.
which is this magic, making magic with your animals. So, first of all, you have to know, everybody, that I am super obsessed with Vincent. He's a gorgeous, wild child, tuxie cat.
He is a
Uh,
wild child.
I know. I can't. Every video you post, it's hilarious, and the comments that you make about him are hilarious. I have a tuxedo girl. She's a girl, so she's my little. I call her my little brat. She's a little brat. My little princess. She's such a princess too. But I have a deep love for tuxedo cats, and I had one when I was a kid growing up. He was my like ride or die when I was a kid. I From the time I was 7 until I was in my 20s, we had that
Oh,
gorgeous cat. Tom was his name. Such a
oh.
boring name, but his name was Tom.
My
Uh,
first cat was a tuxedo too. Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah, he and I bonded from kitten because my sister gave us his mom, and then she got pregnant, and she was like a fluffy Persian, gray and white Persian. Her name was Hobart because my sister thought she was a boy. So so then she became Ho Ho, and her son, the one we kept was Tom, and Tom was my from kittenhood on. So of course was my like slept with me everything. They're so
Oh.
loving, so cute. Little tuxedos are so smart, so cute, so much extra personality, right? Yeah.
I think there's something with tuxedo cats. They're just like their own cat, you know? I can't even explain it. Their personalities seem stronger. They seem crazier. Like they just have this extra little spark. All cats have a spark, but there's just something about tuxedo cats,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh my
I
gosh.
just,
They're they're like little personalities. If you like personality and you want to have an animal companion that is like another little person in your life with their own opinions about things, their own way of
yes,
doing things.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Ah. So one of the things that I talk about, and I think you can address this. So in regards to either Vincent, Figs, the rabbits around you, Stephanie had mentioned in our email that she sent to me that the rabbits around her house are super special. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Figs? Do you want to tell us a little bit about Vincent, a little bit about your relationship with the rabbits too? I mean, we
Sure.
can go into all three. And I'll drink my
Yeah.
coffee and listen. So
Yeah. So every cat is so different. They each have their own unique personalities and also their own like way of doing things. So Vincent came to us 4 years ago. He was a rescue. All animals rescue animals. Like
yeah.
that's something I think I want to stress too is like adopt, don't shop, because there's so many animals that need homes and need care. Um, so he came to us as a rescue. He was one of a litter of three, very, very feral cats.
Mm.
Um, a friend of ours was fostering him and taking care of him and his siblings, and he was the only one out of the three that she thought really had a chance to be domesticated. The other two were just so
Yeah.
wild. So she knew we worked from home. She's like, if this cat, can get out of his shell and be domesticated, it would probably be with you guys because you can give him the attention. So he was, I mean, I didn't think I would ever get to the point of being able to even hold him. He was super, super feral. Came to us he was about 6 months old when he came to us. And he slowly started to come out. It was probably about a year before we were able to really hold him. So it was a lot of like allowing him to trust us in his new environment, getting used to everything. And I think it was like maybe a week or two in, and all of a sudden he just starts talking. Like he's just going off, making all of his chirps and noises. And we're like, where did this come from? This cat has been like quiet as a mouse, not doing anything, hiding from us. And he just busts out and starts talking. So we asked our friend who was fostering him, have you ever heard him talk? She's like, no, like he never really made any noises or anything like that. So slowly he came out of his shell, but he still has a very feral edge to him. And many of the cats that I've had previously to Vincent, they came to me very young, some a few days old. So a lot of them needed bottle feeding and like a lot of extra care. And they became domesticated really quickly and used to us really quickly, whereas he was like a project. And I think he still is sort of a project, right? Like he's just so wild. Like he does not sit still. He's climbing up the curtains. He's running here, running there. But the thing that I noticed about him, and I think it's because of his feral like edge to himself, like he's very good at detecting environmental things. So other cats I have been as well, but they were cats of the past have been more in tune with our like us and our energy and what's going on with us, whereas he's like a security guard. So if something's going on, he's on it, whether it be an actual animal or like a funky energy in the house or something going on. He is like, Mom, it's there, Dad, it's there. Like he points it out immediately. So it's been really interesting seeing his personality come out and seeing like his little gifts come out and like being able to share that with a cat that may not have had a chance to be in a house with people has been so special. And I think it's really strengthened our bonds with him, especially like he's obsessed with Rob, like my partner Rob, like he's like, he has to be with him and he gets angry if he's not home. So like when he first came to us, he was very, very much like around us 24/7. And when Rob went back to work, he's, in the city a few days a week. On those days, he's like, mm-mm, like you're not here. So as soon as he comes back and walks in that door, he's like to him, like he needs to be around him and he gets angry, like super,
It's so
he's
funny.
super, super angry. But yeah, he's definitely been more in tune with like the environmental stuff and the changes and the shifts and like Fig's for instance, who I had since he was like 2 days old, he was very in tune with me. I've never had a cat around me that he knew when I wasn't feeling well. He was like there. You know, he was so like he was such a gentle cat, but he was seriously like almost like a medical cat in a way. Like he just knew when something was wrong with either of us, but especially me. Like he'd just come lay with me like in my arms. Like if I was sleeping, he had to be near me. He had to go under the blankets. Like he was my comfort cat. And
Mm.
Vincent is my comfort cat, but in a different way because he's just so wild. Like you cannot like stop this cat, you know? Um, and then as far as like wild animals go, I think that when you have a relationship, a very close bond with an animal, I really do think that other animals can pick up on that. And
That's a wonderful insight, which I
yeah,
never really thought of before, but it's absolutely makes
yeah,
sense.
I do notice that. Like you will have more animals that aren't familiar with you or living under your roof being a little bit more comfortable with you. And I don't know if that's if they like maybe sense you have an animal or you're in tune with animals already, so you know how to sort of act around them and you know make it like comfortable for them, I guess. So
That's something
I
I want to reflect on what you know what you're saying because
yeah
I have noticed that too. Even saying to the point of like saying like I went for about 8 years without or probably about 8 years without having a cat or any animal. I was traveling a lot,
yeah
and I got to reflect and see like what my relationships with wild animals was over that time.
yeah
It's interesting, right? To think about like were they more standoffish or more like you had to work harder maybe to get to that closeness.
it could be. It's just a observation, you know, like
Yeah.
I definitely feel like since we've moved when we first moved into this house, it'd be like 14 years, you know, there were no animals around. Like there were some birds and things, but we really didn't see a lot of animals.
Yeah.
And once we settled in and we started taking care of, you know, like the property that our house is on and growing certain things and like, you know, our cat was very, very active in the house and we started adopting more cats. We started noticing each year more and more animals coming to the house. So we have families of hawks living. We have tons and tons of rabbits. We have deer, like every type of bird. And I really see like a shift since we've been here and since the cat's been here. Like
Mm.
it's just something to take note of, right? And
Right.
I think it's even interesting to like take note of things your animals will be noticing like on your property, like whether it be out through a window or if they're like roaming free, like see where they're going and like take note of that. You know, when did they see something, when did they start acting funny? Like paying attention to behaviors is huge, right? They'll
Mm-hmm,
alert you
mm-hmm.
of everything that's going on. And so
I think that's how people started with their relationship in ancient prehistoric times is that, you know, first dogs were domesticated and then they say, well, cats domesticated themselves, you know, because they were like, oh, there's food here. There's rats
yeah,
and mice to eat. We'll hang out with these humans. We'll tolerate these humans to get the rats and mice.
right.
But but I think, you know, in that like what people even prehistoric people and throughout history as we look at this and I talk about this in the book a lot. I go back to like really ancient practices and a lot of these spells and workings with them. People followed bird migrations and looked at what was happening out in
Yeah,
nature and observed, and they could look where they could sort of see signals of like where they could find prey by signals that were coming from other animals, you know.
yeah,
So this practice of doing that even in our modern day can be still done to kind of see, you know, kind of if you're mindful and still and out in nature, whether that nature is your backyard or even looking out a window, you
yeah,
don't even have to go outside, you know, to have that moment of stillness and not be, you know, to be patient with that and to be mindful with that, and then you can have this amazing awakened a magical experience with the nature around you.
Yeah.
Talking about figs being your healer, my little Ozma, who's my tuxedo, she's not a familiar, like she doesn't isn't really interested in magic, but she will totally, anytime I'm sick, get on me and start purring, which the purr, is this frequency that actually can heal. They've shown that that frequency heals bones when bones are broken, and does have a healing, other healing capabilities. And so it's not surprising to me that a cat that sees you as mama, because you're mama when you're taking care of a
Yeah.
young cat, would do that for you. It's so sweet
Yeah.
and cute. I
It's
love that.
amazing.
Thanks.
It's a
Yeah.
gift, to have, I think to have any animal in your life and to bond with them on that level is just a gift.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's
I,
not every animal. Like you
no,
said, like some animals would be familiars and some animals are just they want nothing to do. They're amazing companions, but that's not for them. And it is up
exactly.
to the animal. You know,
Exactly, 100%. That's
they
what
have,
I also say.
yeah,
That's the animal is an agreement, a contract, an agreement that you want to that they're interested and they want to work with you and lend their energy to
absolutely.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, and
100%.
I think a lot of that is just like also just like being in tune with observation and you know noticing things. If they don't have interest, don't push it. Like let them come to you. And I think that's just also common sense with working with any animal or having an animal companion. Especially, I keep going back to Vincent because he was so feral. Like it was up to him to come to me and Rob and be comfortable with us. We didn't push anything. It was on his terms. And I think working magically with animals is the same way. It's really up to them within their like level of comfort.
So yeah, 100%. They have to buy in. You have to have a buy-in from the
Yeah.
animal. And even, I mean, one of the things I talk about different animal relationships, I don't think of them as, the book is focused on on the familiar relationship, which is a very intimate and very much, if you're in a magical practice, you're making magic together. But that isn't the only kind of animal relationship you have. And we had talked about this. I think it was, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Stephanie. I mean, Stephanie, not Stephanie. It was Amy Zerner and Monty Barber, who were like also from New York at the Hamptons, right? Um, so they were saying like that these different relationships are not like um, there's not a hierarchy to this. It's not like I look at my Ozma, who's my like companion cuddly cuddle bug, who's not interested in magic, as less than. It's the same thing with my friends.
Yeah,
I've got lots of friends who are
exactly.
non-magical friends, and I don't like go, oh well, they're a lesser friend because I'm
Right.
not making magic with them.
Yeah.
But there is something very special about making magic with your animal. So this book actually goes into things that you can use with all of your pets or animals, not just your familiars, but lots to do with your familiars as well.
Oh, it's amazing.
But I want to ask you, like, have you ever noticed like any of your animals showing interest in your magic, or doing showing interest in tarot or anything like magical, mystical? Have you ever has that happened, or are they looking at
Yeah.
spirits, or what does it look like from your
Um,
perspective?
well, Figs, for example, he would definitely, if I had cards out, he would be interested in it. And he was obsessed with different crystals and stones, specifically amethyst. And this was like a joke with me and Rob. I'm like, I'm going to rename him Amethyst. He would go for that. I mean, I have, crystals and stones all over the place, but I would always hear a clunk and it would be amethyst. He would try to take it, and I would move it and he would find it and just go for it. I think, he was definitely interested in like, if there was any divination being done, Figs was interested in it. Vincent, I have noticed, he's like a little spirit detector. If I'm doing something in the house or if there's like something decides to wander into my house, he knows and he lets me know immediately. He'll show me where it is, what's going on. Um, I definitely do see figs around the house still.
Mm,
Like I will have Vincent in the window and see a tuxedo cat run into the other room. I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
amazing,
You know,
amazing.
and then also like I'll, collect things. There was a when I was little, I don't know if anybody else like had this happen, but like it was a thing where cat's whiskers, you could make a wish. So if you
Oh
found,
yeah, I talk about that in
yeah,
the book.
yeah, that was like a thing. So it was always like looking for the whiskers. But I also find them to be like really protective, right? So if your cat sheds like a whisker or a claw, or if you're lucky enough to find like their little baby teeth when they're
Mm.
kittens, I save all of that. I have like boxes of little things I save from each of them, and I find them to be protective in a way. I definitely like I have my cat teeth next to my bed, and I don't know, it brings me comfort too, but they're like powerful items,
Oh yeah.
they
Oh
carry a
yeah.
lot. Yeah. But yeah, the
They
cat
have that energy. Yeah, they
you
have the
do.
energy of the animal. And I talk about in all of it, I say, this you should, and especially in speaking of cats, which of course I had a dog when I was young. I've had all kinds of animals when I mean, throughout my life, I've had probably every single animal you could possibly have. Um, but but mostly I've had cats. Like cats are
Yes.
like they're my jam because they're
Same.
personality wise, they're right for me because
Yes.
I want to have something that kind of takes care of itself. It has its own life, but we come together and have fun. A dog is wonderful, but a dog is like having a baby,
Yeah.
and having babies is hard, you know.
a hundred
and, I,
percent.
and I'm too ADD to like remember all the things that the baby needs.
It's a
I'm surprised that
lot.
my real children survived is like shocking. But anyway, so when I talk about with cats, when we get these artifacts like a whisker, like a claw, they need to be, again, there needs to be a cooperation. They need to be freely given. And
Yes.
I even have a little spell in there to like, if you want them to leave a claw or a whisker for you, this little spell to work with them to get them to leave one for you. But when you find those, I do, but I say what I end up doing, I should have a little box or something. I end up going like, oh, I found a whisker. Okay, I'm going to set it here, and then I'm going to come back later and then who knows where it goes. I might be finding the same whisker over and over again. Who knows
Right.
what's happening? But those whiskers and those claws need to be freely given. So this is not the trimmings. If you trim your cat's claws, that's
Exactly.
that's going to be got that's going to contain all that energy of anxiety because I've yet to meet a cat that loves to get a podicure, right? So the ones that they get from scratching, which they will fall off naturally,
Yeah.
those are the ones that like you want to look for. And whiskers, you never cut a cat's whiskers.
No, no.
Never, never, never. That is a big no-no because that they use to navigate around the world,
Yeah.
and it's really limiting to them. So getting those whiskers that they have shed, getting those claws that they have shed, that's a really important thing because it's a gift,
Exactly.
it's given freely, and it has none of the stress and anxiety or
Yep.
icky energy that would come from maiming a cat's whiskers. I mean, that really
Exactly.
wouldn't be maiming them in a lot of ways. So
Just check by like what I do is I check by the scratcher because
yeah.
he has like his little
Oh
scratcher,
yeah.
and that's where he leaves his little claws, whiskers, like they're all around there. And then when he was a kitten, like the teeth would just end up
I've never
normally,
found a tooth.
oh my
That's
gosh,
amazing.
all the kitten teeth. Well, you know what it is? It's like they start teething, right? And
Yeah.
normally it's like my hand or like my sock.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time the teeth would end up like just on me from them biting me. So I'm like, okay, tiny teeth.
Oh,
Just gonna,
that's
I
amazing. That's
know.
amazing. Now I've never found a tooth. Maybe you're neater than I am. Your house always looks so clean and mine
Oh,
is a big crazy mess. So
almost
the teeth
like,
go into God knows where they go. So,
well, it's also
but anyway,
like
yeah.
we're total helicopter parents. So it's like, where is he? What's he doing? Okay, he's over here and like checking things out. He also has like bad teeth as like, an adult. So like I'm always watching him to see like,
Um,
how's he? I mean, he's good now. We had like a tooth issue earlier this year, and I was like, dude, come
hmm.
on.
Uh-oh, look who just came up to see what was going on. This little spaghetti
hey.
monster, you little spaghetti.
Oh,
She's my little purr healer, kitty cat, my little purr machine.
no.
Um, I want to ask you a question. Too about like I mean you've kind of interwoven this into the things that we've been talking about, but in your mind, if somebody wanted to bring a familiar in or wanted to bond and get that familiar bond, obviously we've talked about like that needs to be done willingly. Like I can't force Ozma to be, you're going to be my familiar, although she's shown a little more interest, but she just isn't showing the interest that Glinda shows,
Yeah.
you know. But what would you suggest, like for somebody that wants to attract a familiar, or or wants to bond closer with their animal, whether that's a wild animal? I mean, maybe you want to talk about like pets and also your rabbits. You know, your
Yeah.
magical rabbits. We haven't really talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
them very much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think if you are actively seeking a familiar, I mean, of course you can manifest it and put it out there, set it and forget it and see what happens. I also think with actual familiar animals, it can take time for the right fit. So it's not something you can force, right? Like we were saying, some animals are familiars and some animals are just our companions. Um, One thing, if you're working with cats, I could suggest working with Bastet if you're working with deities and maybe making a small altar to her, start giving, some offerings to her and put it out there. Once you establish that relationship and she's open to working with you, put it out there that you're looking for, a cat familiar and maybe she can help assist with that. Um,
That could
I
also be done for if you're looking for a particular familiar, is to find the deities of that are
absolutely
related to that familiar. So,
100%.
you know, like if you wanted a dog, you know, Hecate is associated with
Yep.
dogs, Diana Artemis is associated with
Yep.
dogs, and so on. So it could you're absolutely on the nose and just thinking about like looking at those deities that are the protectors or saints, you know, like if you're into
100%.
you know what I mean, if you're into Catholic magic, go get those saints that are associated with the animals. There's lots of them. So find those special deities. I want to say one thing. I talk about, there's a deity that I cannot pull out of my brain right now in Indian, in Hindu pantheon, that is associated with parrots. And he's basically
Wow.
Cupid riding on a parrot. And so like if you wanted a parrot, you'd go to him, you know. There's all of these. So this is
Yeah.
amazing, amazing tip.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. I just want to throw that in.
And I think it's just like, putting it out there that, you want to attract this familiar into your life. Looking around, as I said, like I also think it's important to go to rescues and shelters. Maybe doing some work at a rescue and a shelter could help attract the right familiar to you. Putting that out there, maybe donating to an organization and, you know, seeing what can happen over time if that familiar can come to you. I think it's really important also to like recognize that this is a huge responsibility. So before thinking about even working magically with an animal, make sure you're prepared to take care of that animal, make sure they're happy, they're healthy, they're content. And any animal you bring into your space in your home, like if they want to be your familiar, they'll decide and they'll let you know and you'll know when it's time. It's really up to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think this is also too, you know, I both of my cats were rescues. One, Glinda came as an adult, and her story is wild and crazy. Like she, there was a little black cat, and the cat I had before Glinda, 8 years before, 8 years before Glinda, was a little black cat named Lewis,
Oh,
and he was adorable, and again, a wonderful familiar, wonderful cat. And so I saw this little black cat and I was like, "Oh, I want that little black cat." And literally every door shut so fast on me getting that black cat. It's wild. Like I was meant to go, the black cat was like the one that enticed me, and Glinda was the one I was supposed to
yeah.
get, you know. She's the perfect cat. I love her so much. I mean, both my cats I
Oh,
love so much. But she was adult rescue, and then she was a little kitten rescue. But Yeah, absolutely. There's so many pets out there that
Yeah,
can give you love and give you this companionship and be your familiar, and they will come to you in wild and wacky and crazy ways.
absolutely. Like you may be, sometimes I think actively seeking too hard isn't a good thing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
just like, just let it happen and it'll
Like
happen. And
exactly,
like,
exactly. I yeah, I had mice. That's what got me to go. But I also think this all lined up. Like the mice came so that I would go look, okay, I gotta get a cat just to get
yeah,
them out of the house.
yeah,
And then I saw the little black cat, and then I was supposed to get Glinda. Like it's that wild, twisty, turny path, that
yeah,
comes in. And she's 100% a familiar.
yeah.
So interested in magic, so interested in divination. So yeah.
I think that's how it works. The familiar animals will come to you, you know, and
Yes,
even
in
with,
weird ways.
yeah, always in weird ways,
Yeah.
always in weird ways. And I think that's, I mean, with wild animals too, um, like are little messengers. Like, as I said, when we moved in here, we didn't see a whole lot of animals other than like, some birds. But slowly the rabbits started coming out, and I started planting things for them that they would like to eat, So it was like once we moved in, started planting things for the animals and the insects and the bees and sort of welcoming everyone in. And then I started noticing more and more rabbits pop up. But then they started coming out in like situations like, for example, one day I was super, super upset at, like working in the studio, came out and the rabbits are like right there.
Hmm.
Like they'll just show up. Like there are these little synchronicities, especially with like dates and times. And it's just like paying attention to those things, making note of it, and then looking for them. I
Hmm.
also think they know it's a safe place for them because I will sometimes chase like neighborhood cats away. They'll try to go after the babies. And a lot of the red tail hawks will come out and try to get the rabbits. So I'm always like helicopter momming again, like looking out, being like, you can't, don't bother the rabbits, But yeah, they're very special, and I think also like having all these animals around you, you will start to pick up on like animal communication skills. That starts whether you realize it's happening or not, you're going to develop that if you have lots of animals, especially are familiar with you.
Yeah, it's just that again, I think it goes back to, I mean, I have things in the book about how to develop that, but I also think that it can happen and if you're a naturally empathic person, which I know you are so empathic. And if you're naturally an empathic person, you'll develop it on your own just by being mindful, just by being really present, just by,
Yes.
opening up. That can also be a way of opening up that animal communication. And I have a whole section in my book on rabbits, by the way, big section
Oh,
on rabbits.
amazing.
I mean, I get into everything from spiders to lizards to, I mean, you name it. If it's an
Yeah.
animal and wild animals, coyotes, I mean, I talk about all of them. So I think that we can have these special, amazing, magical relationships with these animals, and you're like absolutely a role model for that. I think you're a role
Oh.
model for that with being the helicopter mom to all these animals. Which just what does it mean? It means you're present with them,
Yeah.
right? You're looking out for them and you're present with them. And I think of the thing that you said about like changing the garden to be inviting to the deer,
Yeah.
to the rabbits, to the birds, to the bees, to the butterflies, and all of these things. When we do that, what are we doing? It is, I think of it like, because I'm such a spiritualist, right? And I know you're a spiritualist, maybe not a name, but I know
Yeah.
you connect
Yeah.
with spirits. It's like, what do we do when we have like an ancestor altar? You make offerings to your ancestors, you connect to them, you're mindful of them. If you're working with a deity, you're connecting, you're making offerings, you're doing setting up a little area. You're making an altar to connect to these animals, and you're making an offering to the animals, and the animals have the choice freely to come or not to come,
Yep.
right? And so they, if they don't like the vibe, they won't come. But
Exactly.
you have clearly said, I'm open to this relationship. I'm making this inviting for you. So somebody who's a more cynical person might say, well, you planted plants that attract rabbits. So of course you're going to have rabbits, but
Right.
that is the very first step. Like that is the
Yeah.
very first step, and that is to just like you would if you wanted a friend, right? You
Yeah.
wouldn't go up to a friend saying you got to just come over here and be with me. You would, uh, make an outreach of some kind, emotional outreach, or give him a little gift, or do this. This is how you make friends, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Absolutely.
so different.
I think it's interesting you were saying about, like creating this like almost like an altar space, like my animals, they're all on my ancestral altar. Their
Mm,
ashes are there. Like they're my family. And
yeah,
I really feel that way about like all the creatures that live locally and in our, like around our house too. Like it's my responsibility to make sure that the creatures that live here are happy and healthy and feel like it's a safe place for them.
yes,
You know?
yes. Oh my gosh. And I think you bring to mind for me the idea of the traditional witches familiar. So the idea of the witches familiar is from propaganda. I'm talking about the propaganda
Yeah.
version versus the reality version. So the propaganda version of a witch's familiar is you conjure up, you make a deal with the devil, and the devil's going to give you this little minion, a demon in the shape of an animal or a spirit, right?
Yeah.
But this was propaganda created by this weird pervy monk that got
Yeah.
kicked out of the monkhood for being a perv. He made up, the hammer of the witches, right? So
Yep.
this is propaganda. What the reality is, when we look at humans at that time, people of that time were, disempowered people who anything could be suspicious, right?
Yeah.
And having a close relationship with animals was seen as suspicious because biblically you were supposed to have dominion over the animals. They were your food and your servants, and you would beat them, and you would have bear baiting and all these awful things that they would do: dog fighting, bear baiting, cockfighting, all of that. And when you had a compassionate, empathetic relationship with an animal, you were a weirdo. And if you were a weirdo, you were subject to suspicion. And if somebody didn't like you, they could say you were a witch, and then there we
Yeah.
go, right? So I look at this like how you live would have been so suspicious 500 years ago,
Yeah.
because you have it, you're connecting and deeply connecting with wild animals, domestic animals. All of that would have been seen as highly suspicious, and so, or could have been twisted to mean that if somebody had something out, they
Yeah.
were out for you in some way. So but that is the familiar relationship, is having this very close relationship where you can make magic. They can be messengers who, like the rabbits, are doing synchronistic things that are telling
Yeah.
you these amazing messages, or figs, who is there at your side when you're sick and healing you and interested in your tarot and interested in your magic, or even with Vincent, just watching out for all the spirits in the house and telling them to back off if they're negative, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what he's doing. Well, before we wrap up, because I know you've got to go, I've got to run. I know you got to get back to painting. Oh my gosh! If you have not followed Stephanie, please follow her,
Oh,
and
thank
go
you.
to her website, because she has so many gorgeous creations, many of which I have around. I'm wearing, as I pointed out earlier, I'm wearing my Silver
Oh,
Acorn pin. And
oh,
she has
amazing.
she has the Silver Acorn Tarot, which she made, and I wrote the little guidebook that goes along with it. You've got a new Lenormand that's coming
I
out, or is out.
do. I do. Yeah, they should be arriving here within like 4 weeks. But I have my like little copy, my one little copy. But yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, they should be here. I'm hoping they'll be in and like on the website in December, but who knows? Shipping is always crazy, but they will be in soon. I'm hoping before the end of the year,
Oh
though.
my gosh, great, great holiday Yule
Yeah.
presents to give out to your friend. So now Stephanie has two sites. One is called Kitschy Witch, and one is called Stephanie Buscema, right?
Yep.
And then the title says The Art of
Yeah.
Stephanie Buscema. StephanieBuscema.com and kitschywitch.com. So
Yeah.
where are we going to find the
The
decks?
deck's going to be on
Okay.
stephaniebuscema.com. Yeah.
I also have the decks at Parlor of Wonders if
Yeah.
you want it from this end. to send too. I just got my
Yay.
shipment from her. It was so, and they come with a beautiful embroidered velveteen bag. So magical, so good. Um, do you have anything else that you want to announce? What else things are going on for you? That's been like
Um,
a big labor, so I'm not like to sweep the
yeah.
Lenormand under the rug.
Um,
But
well, yeah, this will be the next release coming out. I think I was just so burnt after doing this deck. And then right after everything was done, it was like jump into doing art for fall. So right now I'm just sort of like sort of dragging a little bit. I have another deck in mind that I want to start chipping away at this winter, and I just want to take some time to paint. I think I need
yeah,
to like sort of like recalibrate a little bit and
fun painting, right? Just like
yeah,
something that you're not making. I mean, it will eventually turn into product, but I always think there's that joy in just making something just for fun, just
just
because
for
you
the
want
heck
to.
of it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's really important to
yeah.
play, so I'm going to take some time and do
That's
that.
so good. If you haven't seen her art, I mean, oh my gosh, it is phenomenal.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
she's shown in like, I mean, can I talk about your Disney stuff a little bit?
Oh, sure.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she does these beautiful artworks that are because her artwork, your artwork is so evocative of like retro. It feels very classic, mid-century. It definitely has that vibe. Um, and but beautifully rendered, and everything is painted. There's nothing digital, which is really mind blowing in this time
Oh,
of not only digital art, which I think digital art is great, can be great, but not AI art, not into AR at all, as we all
no.
boo AI art, boo. But
Horrible.
it's really bad. It all has that weird kind of sci-fi look, which is, and it's bad. It's just bad. But but anyway, not only is her work done, it's rendered by hand. This is going back to like when I was in art school in the 80s. I was in art school, and you know, we did everything. We did the gouache, we did the this, we did the masking fluid, all
Yeah.
that stuff. I know all those
The
things, girl.
masking. Oh.
So you know, she does everything by hand, and you can watch these works in progress as she's going along. She shares little bits of her work, and it's so fun to look at what you're creating, what you're doing. You are such a phenomenal talent, and
Oh, thank you
so
so
I
much.
meet people everywhere that know you and love your art, and it's
Oh.
wild. It's wild because it's like my rock and roll world knows you. And my magical witchy world knows you. So wherever I go, I mean, someone's like, "Oh my God, she's amazing! She's amazing!"
Oh gosh.
So you know, you have tons and tons of fans out there, and people adore you and love
Oh,
your art.
thank
So I
you.
just encourage you, if you want to have something beautiful in your Instagram feed that will delight you, will entice you, and just be a little bright spot in sometimes an Instagram feed or whatever feed that is like sometimes can be a lot.
Stressy.
Yeah, this is a place to do that. Before, and I got to ask you one more thing. So we know where
Yeah.
to find you: stephaniebuscema.com, kitschywitch.com. She's got beautiful jewelry, clothing, amazing things. I mean, like you could be head to toe stuff. I should have warned you. Why was I thinking today? I went out and voted. That's what I was thinking today. But I was like, I should have worn one of your outfits. I have your outfits
Oh,
in my closet. I just don't dress up during the week. You know, I dress up when I go out. But I wanted to oh, what was I gonna say? I was gonna oh, what are you doing for Halloween? Of course you're a big Halloween girl. And her house, oh my gosh, she shows you how she decorates her house. All these gorgeous vintage, amazing vintage
yeah.
look, actual vintage Halloween stuff.
Oh, I
So
love old Halloween.
yeah.
I think we're just sort of like we're so tired from this month. I think we're just decompressing, gonna carve some pumpkins, just lay
Oh,
low, and like hopefully we'll get some trick-or-treaters by. I love when we get trick-or-treaters. We don't get too many, but I'm
yeah.
hoping this year. I like love seeing all like the kids dressed up in
I
costume.
know, it's so cute. We get lots of trick-or-treaters in our house, in our neighborhood, because we have a really neighborhood that loves to decorate, so we get a lot. And I have the last 3 years, I did it again this year, bought full-size candy bars because
Ooh.
and here's the tip, you can get them at Costco cheap. It's
Yeah.
like $18 for like 30 full-size candy bars. So we got a bunch of full-size. Why do I love the full? Because the kids, they're like so excited
It's a
to
big
get them.
deal.
Mom, they got big candy bars. It's like That is like the best,
Oh,
craziest, funny thing. It
yeah.
cracks me up every time, the kids' reaction. So I'm very, very excited about
Yeah,
that
to be
to
like
give out.
that house, to be that house is a big
We
deal on
don't
Halloween.
have really great decorations. I tried, but it always is a little like womp womp with decorations. But we do have the good candy bars. So
That's all
hey,
that
kids,
matters. That's all that
don't
matters.
judge the treats by the decorations on the house. That's all I have to say.
Oh,
All right. Well, thank you so
yeah.
much, Stephanie, for
I
joining
can't
me. It's
wait for
so,
your book.
oh my
So
gosh.
excited.
I'll be,
So excited.
I'll be sending one to you for sure. And then
Oh, thanks.
I want to let everybody know that we're going to be doing another one of these Meet My Familiar interviews tomorrow with Courtney Weber, amazing author Courtney Weber. And we'll be here tomorrow on Instagram Live. October 31st, Halloween. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I'm doing for work tomorrow. We'll be here at 1 p.m. Pacific, 2 Mountain, 3 Central, 4 Eastern time. And if you want to get pre-order the Witch's Guide to Animal Familiars and get all of those amazing bonuses, like if you did get it now, you'll get all of the bonuses, including the $40 workshop that I'm going to be holding in January, Introduction to Familiar Magic. Go to animalfamiliars.com and you'll go straight to that page. Or if you go to Parlor of Wonders, you'll see it right at the sort of at the top of the page, a place that'll take you over to that landing page where you can pre-order. It gives the links to pre-order, and then you can enter your pre-order information, and then you'll be good to go, and you will get all of the perks. So that is the good bonus. Like, I'm trying to get you guys doing it early, because not only is it helpful for the authors when you pre-order, but if you do it early, you get all these little wonderful little goodies. We really want to encourage you to pre-order the book. So anyway, yeah, I'm excited for the Lenormand,
Oh,
Silver
thank
Acorn
you.
Lenormand.
Yes,
I
I will send you one as soon as they come in.
My gosh, I'm going to be selling them too. I've got definitely going to be selling them at the shop. But I also want to tell you, like, one last thing to tell everybody else. When you go into Stephanie creates worlds. Like, I love going into a book where I'm in the world, like I'm in that world. That world is real to me. And your art does that. And when you go
Thank
into the
you.
Silver Acorn Tarot, or I am sure the Lenormand, or any of her art, you feel like you enter into this world that I want to live in, which is anthropomorphic animals, anthropomorphic corn, anthropomorphic vegetables, and
Corn.
skeletons, and all kinds
Oh,
of cool beings. That's where I want to live. I want to live. I want to live in this deck. Don't you? Of course you
oh,
do.
thank
Yes.
you.
Stephanie, don't you want to live
I
there?
do.
That's why you
I
make
think
it.
that's why I draw and paint them. I'd much rather be in that little world.
Yes, it's just it's such a rich, I mean, the deck is so rich, and also just all that you create really does pull the viewer into this place where we all just want to be. All the
Oh, that
magical
means a lot to
witchy people just want
That
to be
means
there, I
so
think.
much. Thank you. That really does mean a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I'm in here working like in this world, and like it's so hard to realize that people really connect with the work. You know, like I'm here alone, like 7 days a week working. So I
Yeah.
don't really get to see that, like if people really like it or appreciate or feel they can enter that little world. So by you saying that, it really, really means so much to me.
It's
So
the
thank you.
absolute truth. It's the absolute truth with all my heart. Oh, I love you so much.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for
Oh my
coming,
gosh.
and
Anytime. I cannot wait for your
yes,
book.
and if you can give Vincent a little quick pat from me, because I know
I
you're not
will.
going to be give him a hug from me. So,
I will.
all
All
right. And
right.
tell Rob I said hi,
I
and
will.
happy
Oh,
Halloween. Have a
thank
beautiful,
you
relaxing,
too.
magical Halloween.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Stephanie.
Bye, guys.